Hello and welcome back to our channel, Twinkle Stars. Today, we'll dive into one of the most controversial and often debated chapters in Indonesia's early independent history, the Madiun Affair of 1948. This tragic event not only revealed the deep political divisions in Indonesia, but also shaped the direction of the young republic for decades to come. In this video, we will explore the Madiun Affair from a historical and scientific perspective, relying on documented facts, eyewitness accounts, and scholarly research. We look into the causes, the key players, the sequence of events, and the consequences of the conflict. Most importantly, we'll try to understand it objectively without falling into political bias. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, evidence-based understanding of what really happened in Madiun in 1948, why it occurred, and how it influenced Indonesia's path as a nation. Background of Indonesia in 1948. To understand the Madiun Affair, we first need to go back to the political and social climate of Indonesia in 1948. Just 3 years after the proclamation of independence in 1945, the young republic was still struggling for survival against Dutch attempts to recolonize Indonesia. The Renville Agreement of January 1948 had worsened tensions. It forced Indonesia troops to withdraw from areas they had controlled, consolidating Dutch authority in many regions. Many fighters felt betrayed, especially those aligned with the left-wing faction and former Prime Minister Amir Safiruddin, who had signed the agreement. Amir eventually lost power and grew closer to the Indonesian Communist Party, or PKI. At the same time, Indonesia's internal politics were polarized. On one side were nationalist leaders like Sukarno and Hatta, supported by the military and moderate Islamic groups. On the other side were left-wing elements, including the PKI, Socialist Party, and figures like Musso, who had just returned from Soviet Union after years of exile. The left accused the government of compromising too much with the Dutch, while the government feared the rise of communism. This fragile situation set the stage for confrontation. The emergence of Musso and the PKI strategy. In August 1948, Musso, a veteran communist leader, returned to Indonesia after years of political exile in the Soviet Union. His arrival electrified the leftist movement. Musso promoted a new vision he called the Jalan Baru, or New Road, which emphasized aligning Indonesia with global socialist and communist movements, particularly the Soviet Union. Musso's speeches criticized Sukarno and Hatta for what he described as their bourgeois nationalism. He accused them of betraying the revolutionary struggle. The Indonesian Communist Party, or PKI, together with allied leftist groups, began to consolidate forces, particularly in Madiun, East Java, which became their stronghold. Meanwhile, the Indonesian government saw these moves as a direct threat to national unity. The Indonesian National Army, or TNI, under General Sudirman, had already been wary of leftist infiltration. Tensions escalated when armed clashes broke out between government forces and leftist militias. The political atmosphere became a powder keg. Both sides accused each other of treachery, and the ordinary people of Madiun were caught in between. The outbreak of the Madiun Affair. On September 18, 1948, the crisis reached its peak. Leftist forces under Musso's influence declared the establishment of the Front Nasional in Madiun, challenging the authority of the Republic of Indonesia. In some narratives, this was interpreted as an attempted coup. In others, it was described as a desperate move by the left to resist repression. This situation quickly spiraled out of control. Reports emerged of attacks on police posts, killing of non-communist leaders, and the takeover of strategic locations. The government responded swiftly. President Sukarno went on the radio, denouncing the movement as a communist rebellion and urging the people to rally behind the republic. The Indonesian National Army, or TNI, led by General Sudirman and commanders like Colonel Sungkono, launched military operations to reclaim Madiun. Fierce fighting ensued in villages and towns across East Java. Within weeks, government forces regained control. The Madiun Affair ended with the capture and execution of Musso in late September 1948. Thousands of suspected communists and sympathizers were arrested or killed. Amir Safiruddin, the former prime minister and now aligned with the left, was executed by firing squad in December 1948. The human cost and local impact. The Madiun affair was not only a political conflict but also a human tragedy. Estimates vary, but thousands of people lost their lives, many of them civilians accused of siding with one group or the other. Violence broke out in villages, families were divided, and ordinary citizens were caught in the crossfire. Eyewitness accounts tell stories of executions, disappearances, and fear that spread across East Java. In many cases, people were punished simply for being suspected sympathizers. The Indonesian state used the event to justify strong measures against communism, while leftist survivors remembered it as an episode of brutal repression. The scars of the Madiun affair lingered in the region for generations. For many in Madiun, the memory was passed down quietly as the political atmosphere in later decades made open discussion dangerous. Consequences for Indonesian politics. The Madiun affair had long-lasting consequences. First, it strengthened Sukarno and Hatta's leadership, and they positioned themselves as protectors of the republic against communist rebellion. This increased their legitimacy, especially in the eyes of the military and moderate groups. Second, the affair weakened the Indonesian left. The PKI lost many leaders and members, although the party would later re-emerge in the 1950s under the NID. However, the trauma of Madiun meant that the government and military always viewed the communists with suspicion. Third, the affair shaped Indonesia's Cold War alignment. With Musso advocating for Soviet influence, the government's victory reinforced a more non-aligned but anti-communist stand, making it easier for Indonesia to seek support from the West in its struggle against Dutch recolonization. Finally, the Madiun affair became a powerful symbol. For decades, it was cited by the government, especially during the Suharto era, as evidence of the danger of communism. This narrative justified many of the anti-communist policies that defined Indonesia politics, especially after 1965.